Peace and grace world. How are you? This is Rachelle Wilson from the Make Some Intelligent Noise Foundation Studios, broadcasting to you live here on my StreamYard, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, as well as RochelleRadio.co. So if you're listening in, we've got a good show for you tonight. Tonight, joining me, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than student minister Robert Muhammad. And we're going to talk just a little bit about politics in 2025. And this is one you don't want to miss. Minister Robert Muhammad is from the Nation of Islam, Mosque number 35. Okay, Mosque number 35. Very, very active, proactive in our community. So I want to welcome you to to my show. Thank you for joining me, Minister. How are you?
Oh, Sister Rochelle, it is an honor as always to have this privilege of sitting and I guess breaking bread with you. Um, and I enjoy your words. I enjoy your show. And I just enjoy your personality. And may God continue to bless you in all of your endeavors, sister. And I do not take this lightly. This is an honor and a privilege, and I'm just grateful and thankful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Minister. I want to start off by saying you and the Nation of Islam, Mosque number 35, have always been very supportive of the Make Some Intelligent Noise movement on so many different levels. I just appreciate you and I thank God, Allah, for sending you into my life and that we were able to meet each other and become friends. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. We are your servant, sister, and anything that you desire, need, we are here to help.
Thank you so much. Well, let's get right into it. I want to tell you that last night I went to the inauguration of our city council, new city council representatives, as well as, of course, mayor-elect is now the mayor for the city of Wilmington, none other than Mr. John Carney, or Mayor John Carney. I was there and I watched him get sworn in, and as well as everyone else who was attending. You know, it seemed like, other than maybe one or two weeds growing amongst the flowers, everyone, the new city council, some of the old city council, these people are ready to put the work in and get the job done. I am so happy about some of our new elected city council officials. What do you think about that?
Well, sister, the mayor's race, of course, may have not gone our way, but we congratulate the newly elected mayor, uh, Mayor Carney. And so, what we are anxiously waiting to see is what is his plans for the citizens of the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and what is the mindset of those that desire to serve? That is the big question. And the question is whether or not we desire God to serve and we be the servants of God and the people, or whether we are going to be servants of Satan and his minion. And so this is the big question whenever one has been given the awesome task of public life, and one is in the public, one has to make the decisions that may affect hundreds and thousands of people. And so we are living in a day and time, sister, where our decisions will cost us our lives because we are not living in the day and time of the enemies of God. God has come to take over reigns, and we are actually living in his time. And so if we don't treat the people that are under our leadership, whether it's in the churches, in the mosque, in the synagogues, whether it's in the state house, whether it's in city hall, those of us who are uh, have the lives in the ears of our of the people that are under our leadership and charge, we have to pay a heavy responsibility when we do not lead the sheep correctly and we do not say, "Thus saith the Lord," when it comes to speaking up for the aims and aspirations of a people, and give the people the knowledge of the time so that they may make the proper choices during this time in which we live, which is really the judgment of this world.
Wow, that was a mouthful. There's so much there to peel back the layers to, Minister. But one of the things that I heard, and honestly, I'm almost embarrassed, ashamed to say, it's the first time I've ever actually heard the swearing in of our elected public servants. And hearing it last night, the language, I'm a wordologist, I pay attention to words. One of the sentences that had to be repeated by John Carney and everyone was that they would serve as a representative to the people, putting the people first, no special interests, no personal interests above the interests of the people. And that's a very serious oath to stand up and make that oath on a Bible, right? They do it on a Bible in front of a judge.
That's right.
I believe the judge last night was, I don't want to tear up her name. She was a great little lady, though. I really appreciate her. But to say these words in front of a judge, a sitting bench judge, to say these words to hundreds of people in the audience. And of course, we're all recording. Channel 10 was there. My new television station, CCC TV Network, was there. And several other reporters were there. So all of these people made this promise to serve the people above any special or personal interest. I interviewed 4 people last night, and the other 4 kind of got away from me, but I interviewed 4 people last night, and they say they take that oath very, very seriously.
Sister, that's right. There is an oath that all of us should take, especially when we have the lives of human beings in our hands. And unfortunately, what has happened in America, that we can go before those after we have won a race and we can ceremoniously put our hand on the Bible. But after that ceremony is done, then who is riding on our dome, our kingdom? Is it Satan, or is it "Thus saith the Lord"? Is it we just put our hand on the Bible, but when things come up, do we consult the prophets of God? Do we consult Jesus? Do we consult Muhammad? Or do we consult the one who has the biggest money bag? Do we consult, or do we go with the one that can give us favor, or one that can pad my pocket, or the one that can pass this? See, brothers and Sister Rachelle, we're not living in that time no more. The time of evil is over with. And so we are actually living in the time of God, and God is using Satan and those that desire to do Satan's bidding to do his will. So now here we have, oh, go ahead, sister.
I just wanted to inject right there. And you and I know so many things on a personal level. And this is because I'm at my own radio station now. I can be no holds bar on my commentary, but I'm gonna keep it clean and respectful, okay? But we know that there are people whose only mission in life They play a good game. Oh, I care about the people. I care about the constituents. I care about the, black or brown and golden people. But really, at the end of the day, when you look at their policy, you can see that there is special interest, and they're not caring about the people. They are not putting the people first. So, I don't know if maybe that is their whole purpose in life. We all have one. Could it be? I mean, is it possible that God actually put people here on earth just to be the demons or the devil troublemakers? Like, isn't that possible as well?
Well,
Everybody's not going to be following a law, Yeshua, Muhammad, what is it, Moses, and things like that.
yes, ma'am. Well, let me give let's get some insight into that. We go to the book of Genesis right quick, here is the Lord or God asking permission to make a man. Oh, it goes like this: let us make man. And then, well, if you're going to make a man, who is this God that is asking permission to make a man?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he is the Lord, the sovereign Lord. He is God Almighty. He's the originator of the heavens and the earth.
Yeah, I
Who is
don't
he?
remember him asking a question or asking permission. It was more of a suggestion. Let us make man in our image.
And then the Holy Quran says it a little different. And the Holy Quran says that I'm going to place a ruler in the earth. And the angels were saying, well, what are you going to place in it? That which will cause mischief and the shedding of blood. And then God said, I know what you know not. And so the ruler that would be placed in the earth would be that which would be contrary to that which God would he would permit, he would allow his vineyard, his planet to be let out to some wicked husbandmen. And these wicked husbandmen, that's what the book calls them, wicked husbandmen. And then God every now and then would send his messengers into the vineyard to check to see what was going on with the fruit. Some they beat, some they jailed, and some they killed. And then he said, what would happen when I would send my beloved son in? And he said that they said that they would try to kill his son. And then he said God would ultimately slay him. Well,
Right.
this world God permitted. God permitted evil. For what reason?
Well,
Why?
how do you know good if you don't know evil? But I don't want to get too far
Yes,
off
ma'am.
track. I want to try to stay, right in our
Mm.
lane here, in relationship to politics of 2025. So we've got a lot of newly elected public servants, and I do call them public servants. They are here to serve the people. They are here to help us, the people. What do we need in order to thrive? But I don't think it's, how can I say, it may not be the best option for people to always have their hand out looking for government to fill their hands up with something. Isn't it something we have to do at some point? We have to pull and toil our own land and make sure that we're doing what needs to be done in order for prosperity to seek us. We can't always have our hand out to the government. So we've got Newcastle County President Monique Johns. She was there last night. We have Newcastle County Executive Marcus Henry. I'm so happy that he was able to get that seat. And again, a new mayor, Matt Meyer, is now our governor. So all of these layers, all of these new people, it was a smear campaign for the governor seat, right?
Mhm.
Between Dr. Bethany Hall Long and Matt Meyer. Folks were torn. They didn't know what to do. And there was a lot of dirty, unprofessional politics going on, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Slander.
Mhm.
So if they're slandering each other or whatever prior to the election, how are we going to work together after the election? Because people don't just go away because they weren't elected to a seat. They're still in offices and divisions where they're still working with us.
Right. Sister, our biggest problem is our unity. If you look at the Asian community, you don't see them marching. You don't see the Asian community picketing. You do not see the Asian community. If you don't give me a job, I'm gonna. The Asian community practices self-preservation.
Yeah.
And being that they love self and they practice self-preservation, look at the collective economics that the Asian community has in the city of Wilmington. Why is it that they, with no advertisement, every Chinese food corner store is, we fill it up? What is wrong with us that we do not unite? And again, the Bible teaches you and me about the condition that the children of Israel were in. God had the Pharaoh had destroyed their men and spared their women. And this has been the trick of the enemy by sparing our women, meaning that our women, because the Bible teaches you and me, is God, Christ, man, and woman. But now our women are, in terms of the money wise, she's the breadwinner. Where's the black man? He's on the corner. He's in prison. Huh? Slaughter the male, but spare the female. Why? Because the female is the producer of the idea of what is in the mind of a man. She gives flesh and bone to the idea. And the aim of the enemy was never to allow the black man and black woman to naturally fall in love with one another. So she's downtown and the enemy is using her against her own man. But
Okay, let me go back a little bit. I wanted to respond to what you said about the Asian dollar. There's a report that the Asian dollar stays within its own community for 27 days before it leaves. The Jewish community, 19 days before it leaves the Jewish community. The Latin American Spanish community is 6 days before it leaves the Latin American community. And in the Black Brown community, it is 6 hours.
6 hours.
6 hours, we turn that money over and it leaves the Black communities. So there's a mindset with all of that, right? There's a mindset, maybe hundreds of years of training. That's possible. Hundreds of years of training and conditioning to do things a certain way. And then we know Black women, which really is kind of upsetting. Black women are the highest, what is the word? They buy everything.
Right.
There's a proper word for that, and I'm trying to think of it. But Black women buy everything. Consumers. Thank you. They are the largest consumers in the United States of America. Shut the Black woman down, and America shuts down.
And sister, Black women were the ones that really went out and for Kamala. It wasn't just Black women, but obviously Black men did the same. Overwhelmingly, 85 to 90% of the Black vote Kamala had. But the biggest losers in the presidential election this year was Black women. Black women were so hurt, according to Joyce Reid on MSNBC. She had an article and she said, what happened to Caucasian women that they thought that they had come together, because they were thinking that because President-elect Trump speaking about the taking the rights away from women, that it would have pulled the biggest voting bloc, which were Caucasian women, to Kamala's side. But one of the things that we don't know, we don't recognize, is self-preservation. And and their women went for Trump. Why? For self-preservation, and they got the playbook. What was the
Population of Black women did vote for Trump, simply because they were very concerned with the North Korean and the Chinese and Russian, the war, whether or not a Black woman, she's Black and she's a woman, right? Two strikes, whether a Black woman would basically get punked by Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong Un, right? So they did not have the confidence that a Black woman could sit in the negotiating room with all of these high leaders and be, and be taken seriously. They didn't think that she could be. Do you
and
think America is ready for a woman and a Black woman president?
well, I don't know, sister, that we did not look at history. And what happened in 2016 when Hillary Clinton and ran with then the President Trump? They didn't vote for her. They went with Donald Trump. So I don't know why we might have thought that Kamala, with all of the indictments, all of the things that were against Trump, that it was a shoe-in. But again, sister, self-preservation is the first law of nature. They recognize that in order for us to stay in power and to continue this, we have to stick together. And that's what they did. And I don't blame them. Why don't we do that? Not for evil purposes, but for righteous and good purposes. That's a lesson that we should learn
Yeah.
in what they did.
Well, it's an absolute fact that older white men in America have been running the show, pulling the puppet strings from the background for just hundreds of years since this nation actually became an actual nation, the United States of America, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
they've been pulling the strings, and to imagine having to take orders from a woman, period, but then add she's Black, a Black woman, I've got to take orders from you. The United States military has to take orders from a Black woman. I don't know that we really even in 2025, 24, 25, I don't know that the mentality of folks are ready for that, especially again our old white men.
Well, sister, to just while we're on that, when our beloved brother Barack was the president, there were reports and articles that had come out that they were saying we're going to stomach having this baboon and his wife as the president and first lady, but by God, we'll never allow this to happen again. A nigga, this is their words. I'm quoting, a nigga being a president of the United States again. And the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said it was really a plot to think that we would get freedom, justice, and equality in America, and it was just a trick to keep on tricking us to think that we would get what we never received in America for our 470 years being in this country.
Yeah, and we're definitely about 280 years in the back financially. We've got 280 years to catch up with white folks in terms of prosperity and financial freedom and financial security. They've got 280 years on us. So, I don't know that reparations will ever come. I can't say it will. I certainly don't think it's coming under Donald Trump. But I don't know that it'll ever come from the United States of America. And you and I both know that it was on the backs, the blood, sweat, and tears of Black and brown people who built this nation. If it weren't for us, there'd be no light bulbs, there'd be no air condition, there would be no plasma for blood transfusions. Like, we did it all, but they won't give us the credit for it. And they certainly aren't ready to make us a president of anything.
And sister, and when you look at the scriptures, the Egyptians never gave the children of Israel their due. They never gave them the reparations, but that's why God came and he said, I'm coming. And he said that after we served this nation, that we would come out with great substance. So the substance is coming from God, and we will get that which he has promised us. And that is coming to us. But one of the things that we must do, God is beckoning us to, we're going to have to come together. You mentioned earlier in your text to me, what is the forecast? What is the forecast for 2025? Our people, Sister Rachelle, do not know and understand that we are in the judgment of God. And America, they represent the evil empires of yesterday: Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, all of the wicked civilizations that are recorded in the Bible of yesterday. They were all a sign of America. And now America's time has come to reap that which she has sown, in terms of, like you said earlier, bringing us here, which was prophesied, killing 120 million Native Americans. So
We're already here.
that
And
we're
then they
already here.
turn around and celebrate Thanksgiving.
Right.
Standing the civil,
Right.
um, and so there are tragedies that took place,
Right.
and yet people are out buying turkeys every Thanksgiving,
And,
right?
and that and,
Honoring the Native Americans that were already on these lands.
and sister, that's why we need uh, to take control over our educational process. What is wrong with us teaching our own children? This is the problem, sister. One of the problems is we do not teach our children our own history. We allow that to be put in other people's hands, and other people manipulate us in our history. And this we must do is teach our own children our own history. No other people would allow an enemy that conquered them to teach them of their own history, sister. And
I
so,
find it I find it completely appalling that now in 2025, if I've read the reports correct, uh, the administration will be taking Black history out of our schools, and they will be adding the LGBTQI plus community history or books in replacement of Black history. So they're going to take us out, put in the LGBTQ, I call them the Rainbow Coalition, and I probably shouldn't, because that actually isn't a proper name to call them either. But that the alphabet group will be into our schools, and our kids are going to learn why I have two daddies.
right,
Why do I have two mommies? But
right,
they won't learn who created blood plasma, who created energy cells that make for batteries. Like, they're not going to learn that. So if we don't know our history ourselves, to teach our posterity, our young people, as parents, if we're not teaching it, maybe we don't know it. It's ignorance of us. We just don't know the history to teach it, to pass the stories along.
yes, ma'am. See, sister, these are the questions that the newly elected mayor, since he is the mayor of the city, most of the students or children are Black, and the original people, the Black and Latino family, are here in the city. Why don't we sit down and have a talk and suggest to him that we should begin to incorporate are teaching Black history 365 days a year, because this is what we have learned of our enemies in his history. How come we can't teach 365 days, Black history moments or whatnot, in order that the child may see themselves in the history books? How come they have not learned about the greatest general that ever lived, Hannibal, a
Yeah.
Black man,
And Mansa Musa,
and Mansa Musa?
the richest human being ever on this planet Earth, Mansa Musa.
Don't you know that Hannibal, they say it was impossible, it's impossible for you to train African elephants. The elephants that you see in the circus are not African elephants. They're found other places on the continent,
India.
on our planet. Hannibal took the impossible to train, which was African elephants, trained them, and because he was a military genius and he was a chemist, he knew how to navigate the Swiss Alps and navigate that and overtake that, and then got a hold of the people in Italy. That's why when you look at them, they're a little dark, because he spent 20 years
Yeah.
in Italy. But
Yes.
he was one of the greatest generals that ever lived. Black people
Yes.
don't know nothing about that. Black
Yeah.
people don't know that Jesus was a Black man.
To this very day, generals in the United States military still look to Hannibal's strategies for winning wars, and strategic for battles, right?
That's
They
right.
still look to his strategy that he used then, for today. And I find that extremely interesting. Will they give us any credit for it? I doubt so. I
But
doubt it so much. But I wanted to ask you really quick before we head out. Have you had an opportunity, when we were working with Velda Jones Potter, and her campaign for her to become the next mayor of the city, one of her passions was to put schools here for Black children. Why are Black children being bused an hour away? They've got to be at a bus stop at 5 o'clock in the morning, to drive an hour to get to school. Same thing to return home. They're exhausted just the bus ride alone. So it was a passion for Velda Jones Potter to make sure that we had Black schools, or we had schools in the city for Black and brown children.
mhm.
My question to you is, have you spoken with Mayor John Carney? It's hard to say that after saying governor for so many years, but have you had a conversation with him about that, implementing schools here for our children, so they don't have to ride 2 or 3 hours to get out to Glasgow and Newark and all of these places?
No, sister, I have not at this time. But one thing that I did do during the summer, during Velda's running for the mayor, and she did a phenomenal job. I mean, may God bless her and her family. But
Yeah.
what I suggested was, as other communities do, we have to vet those that are running for office. Do you love the people that you say you serve?
Mhm.
Or will you go in after you say that I'm willing to serve, and somebody hand you a bag, and now you become their mouthpiece? You're not a person for the community. You really become somebody else's, you know. And see, sister, this is what it has to come down to. I'm a mafia movie guy, and but sister, let me tell you something. You can't have business and not have an army to protect that which you the business that you say that you're going to set up. The mafia had a system, and whenever they had somebody that represented their community, they sat them down and they told them, now look here, this is what we represent. We want you to go downtown, and we want you to represent our interest. And if you don't, then there's got to be a consequence. See, with us, there's nothing like that. We leave them, they go downtown, and then somebody else gives them a bag, and then they say, okay, we got you. Do our bidding, or we gonna tell.
But minister, I mean, honestly, and keeping it professional, don't we have to kind of know how to rub shoulders a little bit? Don't we have to know how to play the game, to navigate, in order to be prosperous, in order to make moves? Sometimes you got to work with, you gotta rub shoulders.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we don't rub shoulders, just like those that send their people downtown, but they represent the best vested interests of the community that they come from. And we as Black people don't do that. We sell out, unfortunately. We then what happens? We become muzzled. We don't speak up for the aims and aspirations of the people that we come from. We don't do that, sister. And so that's why people can come in our community and split the vote. And then we become divided among one another, because they know that in order to keep Black people divided is just to give somebody some money. He'll come out, she'll come out, give a song and a dance, and then here we are 25 years later singing the same song. Time out for that.
Come by here.
Mhm.
Minister, I can't thank you enough for your comments and your insight, your wisdom. Close us out with a word that we should take with us and carry with us. What for 2025? What are we doing here?
Sister, the minister just told us, he said, we are in the book of Revelations. We're at the end. We're in the end. And as you see, look at what is happening with the weather. And when you read the book of Revelations, you see rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, because God is removing a world and a people that do not want right and righteousness. We are at the end. And so it's not going to be good times, sister. The Bible teaches us, and this is the reason why, sister, that our pastors and imams have to teach the truth instead of milk toast teachings, and teach the people that God is after America. We may have forgiven them, but God has not. And so he's whipping and lashing the country, and that we got to come together as a people, because the man that God had put in the office of the White House, he's not our friend. And I say this, what is it that we haven't done? And what is it that we haven't done is unity. And so that scripture says that those winds drew on those bones, and they stood up as an exceedingly great army. And these winds of adversity, and these winds of hating you because of the color of your skin, is going to get worse and worse because of that man that's in the White House.
Do you think America's on its way to a civil war because of what's happening or what has
America,
happened?
America is about to go to war. As you see, the war in Ukraine is going to widen, and the government is going to ask for Black and brown bodies to go and fight this war. But we say, as Muhammad Ali said, we are conscientious objectors. We do not believe in taking the lives of innocent people, you know, and we don't believe in that. And what are we fighting for? For what? For police brutality? For us continuing to get raped and mugged and robbed and beaten and killed? And now you want us to go and fight while your children, who represent the congressmen's and the House of Representatives children will go to Canada, while
Right.
black and poor whites go and fight for the rich. It's going to be a war, sister, and it'll be our unity that will get us through.
All right, Minister. I appreciate you. I thank you for your wisdom. Again, you are a man of great wisdom and insight. I appreciate it. And we're doing radio today. You're on my radio.co show, and I appreciate that. This is the very first guest. You're the first guest that I've had on my radio show, Rachelle Radio. So I appreciate you so much. But as we move forward, I've got to get you on my new television, Roku television show. I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
that's where, we've got 80 million viewers and growing. So we
Yes,
definitely
ma'am.
want to get you on the Roku television show. But thank you so much for joining me today here on Rachelle Radio. I appreciate you and I bless you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Minister. Peace and grace.
Grace and peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. What can you say to that type of those are the sentiments, the insights of Minister Robert Muhammad of Mosque number 35 here in Wilmington, Delaware, right here on Washington Street. He says the answer to everything is unity amongst the black and brown and golden people. We've got to stop fighting amongst ourselves because potentially there is a war coming where America's going to ask us to fight their war. And maybe some will go and maybe some will not go. But unity is the only way that we're going to survive it. So we'll see how that works out. Again, I want to say last night at the inauguration for not only the mayor, but all of our newly elected representatives, I wish them well. I pray that they will honestly serve the people with no special interests or personal interests, but simply serve the people as public servants. We voted them in to serve us and our issues, okay, as a whole, as a general, as a people. So I am praying that that's what they do. But I promise you, Rachelle Wilson, I'll be keeping my good eye on them when they convene in their meetings. I'll be keeping a good eye on them to make sure that they are upholding their promises to you and I. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, to my Facebook friends and family, to my YouTube friends and family, Spotify, and right here on RachelleRadio.co. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and God bless. Enjoy your night. Mwah. Peace and grace.